This is the evening news for Thursday, October 23, 2013. I am Leanna Bradshaw. Thanks for joining us. Making the headlines tonight. Anti-money laundering bill nears completion. Village Tushaus to receive increase in stipend. Woman allegedly brutally beaten to death by reputed husband. GRA closely monitoring rollout of mortgage interest relief. Chronicle regrets buying printing press from Lal. And now for the news in detail. The Parliamentary Special Select Committee, which was mandated to look at the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill, will be moving to the National Assembly within days to present its report. More from Svetlana Marshall.
The Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Bill will be completed by the end of the week. This is according to the head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, who addressed media operatives at the office of the President today. He said with continued delayed tactics employed by the opposition, the governing side moved to complete the consideration of the amended bill on Tuesday night.
The parliamentary opposition conspired at the end of the session, just before the beginning of the parliamentary recess of 2013, to delay the conclusion of the PSSC, the Parliamentary Special Select Committee's, its consideration of the bill. It was clearly at that stage ripe for its final consideration.
With Guyana already blacklisted in a draft Caribbean Financial Action Task Force report due to its failure to meet the first deadline in May, Dr. Luncheon said the government cannot allow the opposition to jeopardize the financial sector. While the Partnership for National Unity has employed the delayed tactics despite increased calls for the passage of the bill, he said the Alliance for Change position is simply ridiculous.
And if we go to the AFC, they're even more ridiculous. This linkage between the enactment of the anti-money laundering bill, the amended bill, and the establishment of the Public Procurement Commission is touted as the AFC's ultimate position. Heavens forbid. In consideration of the non-enactment of the amended anti-money laundering bill, one would have to ask what has adversely affected us by the non-establishment of the Public Procurement Commission.
It is anticipated that the bill will be read in the House for a third time in a matter of days. It was read in the National Assembly for the first time on April 22, 2013, and subsequently on May 7, when the opposition voted for the bill to be sent to the Special Select Committee. Ghana has up to November 18 to pass the amended bill, which will pave the way for the country to be in compliance with the 6 new requirements outlined in the CFTF evaluation report. Reporting for the evening news, I'm Svetlana Marshall.
Thanks, Svetlana. A mother of 3 who resides at Lusignan, East Coast of Marara, was allegedly beaten to death by her reputed husband earlier today. Bishop Mohammed filed this report.
45-year-old Mitrani Permanent, also called Maylene Prasad of Lot 180 Grassfield, Lusignan, East Coast Demerara, was found dead in her home at about 13 hours 30 by one of her sisters who went to check on her. The woman was lying on her bed in a semi-nude state with several marks of violence about her body, which is consistent with physical abuse. Her reputed husband, 36-year-old Riaz, is on the run. He was previously fined $80,000 after he brutally beat the woman last December, causing her to be hospitalized. After being discharged from the hospital, he reportedly begged for forgiveness and they reconciled. At the scene today, the woman's sister Indrani Prasad explained what she saw and disclosed what may have led to the woman's death.
I get a phone call that I should get beat, and I come over, and see her last night around 7 o'clock. She tell me how the man beat she, and then me see she belly, like she ribs him as a break up. And I say, all right. She get up and she open the door and so, and I come in the house. And I say, all right, I will come this morning. I will catch her to the hospital when I come morning. And when I come, I find she there. Last year around Christmas Boxing Day, he beat she and broke up she hand and foot. And she recover and take them to make her back, and she live. The guy named Maria's.
The woman's daughter, Kavita Prasad, also related when she got the news of her mother's death and explained the relationship they shared.
My auntie just called me and tell me how bad news my mother did, and I just come up and find she dead. And then I got the station. Since June month I hear and she and see she.
Since June? So you don't normally keep in contact with your mommy?
No, because she even beat she already and break up she foot and hand. And because she take back in, when I talk, she vexed me. She never talk back to me or call me back, and I never call she back and talk back to she.
A neighbor who heard the woman being beaten last night also told her story.
She went by my mother at the front, and she was drinking alcohol. And the Monday when we come back here, I went and I called on she, and I go. She tell me how the man, her husband, beat she up badly. So I asked her I asked him why you beat she. He said that she went and picked Fair Sunday. Yesterday morning we come back again to check she out. And when we come back, she holding she belly, and she tell me that he take his foot and he hit she in she belly. Servant's time, and that she belly hurt and she bad if we can take you to the hospital. And we didn't go because he was working like couple hours from here he was working. So my sister went to the boss man, and I went there but I don't talk to them. And my sister went to the boss man, tell you that the workman hit his wife bad, and if he can leave the job and come and take you to the hospital, right? And the boss man turned and said that let she die.
The woman is survived by her 3 children and 8 siblings. Her body was taken to the Likens Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem on Friday. Bishar Mohammed, The Evening News.
Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Khurshid Sitar, has warned that his organization will be closely monitoring the rollout of the new mortgage interest relief regulations, which will be made available to homeowners who are holders of mortgage loans of up to $30 million. Speaking to this newscast during an exclusive interview, GRA Commissioner General Khurshid Sitar said the mortgage interest relief regulations signed onto by the Finance Ministry would see GRA implementing a mechanism to administer relief to homeowners with loans. He explained that it is the interest from the mortgages that would be deducted, and GRA would now be tasked with the mandate of compensating financial institutions that would have to reduce that interest.
A lot of checks and balances are put in the system to prevent fraudulent claims as well. So don't be afraid. Those people who think they can smart the system, we are waiting for you.
Sitar noted that GRA has already begun the process and also has systems in place to ensure public sensitization and interactions.
Not only is the system one that would require a law to be administered, require also interagency cooperation between the bank, the financial institution, the GRA, because ultimately the relief is granted through a reduction in the payment of your commitment to those institutions.
Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh recently signed and sent for publication in the Official Gazette the Income Tax Mortgage Interest Relief Regulations 2013. This ensures the establishment of the Regulatory Foundation for Mortgage Interest Relief, MIR, to be granted pursuant to the introduction of this measure announced in Budget 2013. First-time homeowners who are holders of mortgage loans of up to $30 million granted to them by commercial banks or the Building Society will be permitted to deduct the interest they pay on such mortgages from their taxable income for the purpose of personal income tax. For the Evening News, Leanna Bradshaw. Village Tushals from across the country, along with senior council members of the National Tushals Council, will receive an increase in their monthly stipend soon, after President Donald Ramatar made this promise today at the National Conference Center during the week-long annual meeting. More from Sabatini Daniels.
President Donald Ramatar made the announcement today that government has decided to raise Tushals stipend from $20,000 to $30,000. He also disclosed that the senior council stipend would also be increased from $15,000 to $20,000, while deputy Tushals stipend would now be raised to $15,000. The announcement was met with applause. However, while some Tushals were pleased, others were not.
I feel happy about it, so that we would see and that we would work more towards our community.
I was pleased to hear at least my stipend is raised, and where I was suffering and I have a lot of things to do all about. I have 2 duties to be done in my village, 3 as a sport organizer, and I am into show, and I am as well as work in the religious thing too. So I was pleased to hear that the president was raising things.
We appreciate whatever little, but we are expecting more. I personally would expect more. So I'm happy that others took it into consideration, brought it up, and the president could have on the spot give us an answer.
Even though it has increased, but the cost of the living in the interior, in the Pacarima Mountains there is still a need to increase.
At the meeting, persons also raised several issues which they said need to be addressed, including proper transportation, health facilities, teaching facilities, and having more trained teachers in the hinterland. As a result, the head of state assured that he will ensure the administration looks into all of these issues and have them addressed at the soonest possible time. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
Key stakeholders have benefited from a 3-day workshop held last week at Car Lodge in Georgetown titled Innovative and Regulatory Incentives for Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Initiatives. The workshop was conducted by the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, with support from the German Agency for International Cooperation. With representatives from Curacao, Guyana, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago in attendance, the workshop was part of an overarching sustainable energy project in the Caribbean under the theme Reducing the Carbon Footprint in the Caribbean through the Promotion of Energy Efficiency and the Use of Renewable Technologies. The workshop served as a springboard for the launching of a training manual, which was developed to appraise stakeholders for the methodologies that may be employed in removing fiscal and regulatory barriers to implementation of energy efficiency measures and renewable energy technologies. Do stay tuned to more news after the break. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Ghana National Newspaper Limited said it regrets purchasing a printing press from Kaiser News boss Glenn Lal for tens of millions of dollars. More in this story.
The tens of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money that have been paid by the management of the Ghana National Newspapers Limited, GNNL, for the purchase of what has turned out to be a scrap metal printing press from Mohan Lal, also known as Glenn Lal, owner and publisher of the Mudrakin Kaiser News, to improve the print quality of the Sunday and Guyana Chronicle newspapers, appear to have gone down the drain. According to sources inside the Chronicle, the press sold to the GNNL was expected to enable the newspapers to have a quality print that could stand out among the best newspapers in the Caribbean. But several years later, the operations of the press leave much to be desired, and management sources say a new press will soon have to be sourced. Sources further reveal that the inferior press was sold without a public tender and reported that Mohan Lal, also known as Glenn Lal, made a killing from the sale of the second-hand equipment. Information received by this newscast revealed that a quality black and white press can be purchased for $500,000 of taxpayers' money that was paid to Lal, who apparently dumped the GNL in the deal. Sources are calling on the relevant authorities to investigate the alleged shady transaction from which the owner of the Mudrakin Kaiser News newspaper, Mohan Lal, also known as Glenn Lal, is said to have profited hugely.
Over the coming 3 days, we will feature a new GCC Special on a number of issues. Today's feature will focus on the company's greatest assets, its employees. Let's take a look.
The new GPC employs approximately 140 persons from around the nation to work in its manufacturing facility and administrative offices. These employees are constantly engaged in staff development workshops as part of the company's vision to ensure the manufacture and distribution of quality pharmaceuticals. Human Resource Officer Faye Smart Scott said the company recognizes that the retention of employees is mutually beneficial to staff and the company. Therefore, it is in everyone's best interest to ensure that these employees are happy and satisfied at the workplace. Smart Scott has been employed with the company for 21 years and started as a typist. She rose through the rank and file and is now at the helm of the Human Resource Department. The HR officer pointed out that the new GPC provides opportunities for growth and career development as well as provides competitive remunerative benefits to its staff. She posited that competitive salaries and fringe benefits aid in staff retention. It has been proven that many productive and profitable companies attribute their success in part to their commitment to ongoing employee training and education. This trend is not unusual to the new GPC, she added. Earlier this year, more than 30 employees of the company participated in the Help and Shelter sensitization workshops on gender-based violence and domestic violence. Additionally, another 100 employees were recently trained by and received food handlers permits and certificates from the Ghana's Food and Drugs Department. Though all efforts have been made to create a collegial environment, the new GPC has been able to buck the trend of migration of qualified Guyanese and retain its staff. The corporation said it maintains one of the largest internship programs with the University of Guyana for chemistry and pharmacy students.
Police are looking for a man who allegedly raped a 19-year-old Georgetown girl on Tuesday evening at Rose Hall, Quarantine Berbice. The rape suspect is reportedly from Albion Front, Quarantine Berbice. Reports reaching this newscast revealed that on the night in question, the victim was taken at Crimson Light Bar located at Quarantine Berbice when the suspect arrived in a dark-colored motorcar, stopped and pulled her in the said car and sped away. The suspect reportedly took her to a house in Williamsburg Village, Quarantine Berbice, where he parked his car and collected a motorcycle. He then forced her to climb on the vehicle and took her to the Rose Hall burial ground, where he had sex with her against her will. After committing the act, the suspect then went back with the victim to Williamsburg Village, but she managed to escape and went to the Rose Hall police outpost, where she reported the matter. The police immediately accompanied the woman to look for the man, but came up empty-handed. She was subsequently taken to have a medical examination. The police are continuing their investigation, but the rape suspect has not been arrested. The Ghana National Road Safety Council is calling on the Ghana Police Force's Traffic Department to implement other mechanisms in addition to the breathalyzer test to detect the use of harder illegal substance by drivers. More in this report. With alcohol and speeding being the two main reasons for accidents on the roadways, the Ghana National Road Safety Council, GNRSC, says it is working to ensure stricter measures are put in place to curb these ills. As such, with Road Safety Month slated to kick off on November 1, coordinator of the GNRSC, Ramona Durjan, said it will be held under the theme, Alcohol, Speed and Inattentiveness Cause Accidents, Drive Wise and Save Lives. Speaking on the impacts of alcohol, Durjan said the council has been advocating for new measures to be implemented to detect the use of other illegal substances that can impede drivers' attentiveness on the roadways.
We would like to see more testing other than just for alcohol. We went to a conference in Barbados, and we brought back a whole research on testing of marijuana. So soon you will see the testing of marijuana also, because the National Road Safety Council will be pushing for the government to pass a legislation for that. Testing of not only alcohol, there is an equipment to test for marijuana.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the GNRSC, Earl Lambert, said the breathalyzer test continues to function and has proven to decrease the number of alcohol-related road accident cases. However, he stressed that there needs to be more enforcement in the implementation of the test. As it relates to speed as a cause of accidents, Durjan said the council has been collaborating with the traffic department and other respective bodies to ensure the requisite infrastructure along the roadways are in place, as well as pedestrian crossings and signs that help to reduce congestion. Road Safety Month will get underway with a major launching activity in front of the Parliament Square to guarantee wide public attention.
We want to put a coffin, we put a mirror inside, so that when you look in, you see yourself. Because there are times that people, you put the message, but people don't get the message because they feel that it's for somebody else and not them. So we also want to let them realize that it concerns them also, and not just about anybody else but yourself.
Other activities during the month include church services, first aid training, fundraisers, an awareness walk, and a rally at the Ghana National Stadium on November 29 to culminate the observances. Deputy Chief Elections Officer Calvin Ben and his assistant Keith Lowenfield are among the 14 persons who have applied to become the Chief Elections Officer at the Ghana Elections Commission GCOM. The 7-member commission met on Tuesday afternoon to finalize when it will meet to begin the process of shortlisting suitable candidates for the post, which became vacant after GCOM declined to renew the contract of then Chief Elections Officer Gokul Budum. Sources told this newscast that Ben's and Lowenfield's applications were among the received by the Commission. However, when contacted, the Commission's chairman, Dr. Steve Sturgebali, declined to divulge any information about the identity of the applicants, explaining that it would be unprofessional and premature at this stage. He would only confirm that among the applicants were 3 overseas professionals. More news after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. As the third day of the National Tushaus Conference got underway today, a peaceful protest was staged by scores of Amerindians calling on the National Tushaus Council to make proper representation for all Amerindian communities. More from Sabatini Daniels.
Behind me, a number of indigenous persons have gathered at the International Convention Center, calling on the National Tushaus Council to exercise its independence and give proper representation to persons.
Additionally, the group urged the Tushaus to take control of the agenda and not to be overshadowed.
Tushaus, we support you! Tushaus, we support you! Tushaus, we support! Respect our leaders! Respect our leaders! Respect our leaders!
Santa Rosa resident Sharon Atkins encouraged the NTC to work towards addressing land issues, adding that often it is after villages are titled that villagers learn that there are logging and mining concessions on the land.
Today we are out here to support those Tushaus who are strong enough to stand up to ensure that our lands are secured for our future benefit. And we're not asking for all of Guyana or half of Guyana, it's just a fraction of Guyana.
She also maintained that the Amerindian Act needs to be revised to uphold the rights of indigenous people, subsistent way of life. She voiced need for a better relationship with the Amerindian Affairs Ministry. However, the subject ministry throughout the year has had a number of outreaches in hinterland communities to listen to concerns and to tackle issues they face.
A number of Tushaus also joined the gathering to listen to the concerns of some of their people. Reporting from in front of the International Convention Center for the evening news, I'm Sabatini Daniels.
Visitors to the National Park in Georgetown may have noticed the recent appearance of benches around the jogging trail. These seats are part of the Add a Bench drive being spearheaded by the Natural Resources and Environment Ministry's Protected Areas Commission and Gaia Enterprise with the aim of restoring public seating in the park. The new benches are designed to facilitate the placement of advertisements by sponsors as well as provide much-needed public seating around the park. The drive is part of the 3 Parks initiative, which aims to rehabilitate and upgrade the National Park, the Botanical Gardens, and the Zoological Park. The Commission is inviting businesses, individuals, and other interested groups to sponsor these benches as a means of advertising their companies or causes while enhancing the facilities at the park. For further information, you can contact the Commission on telephone numbers 226-7974, 225-8016, or Gaia Enterprise Office on 226-9874. To stay tuned, your sport news is next. Welcome back, and now for a look at your sport news. In the headlines, horse racing legislation being reviewed by special committee, large field expected for Ghana Open Golf Tournament, and the Kashif and Shanghai Kings retain trophy stall title. And now for the details. The National Sport Commission has set up a special committee to review the draft horse racing legislation, and according to Director of Sport Neil Kumar, the legislation is currently being looked at its entirety. More from Rajiv Bisnot.
The Director of Sport said a 5-member committee was specifically set up to deal with the horse racing legislation. However, Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, in a recent interview, said that every step is being looked at to facilitate the likelihood of the passage of the horse racing legislation. The Minister, however, indicated that the passage of any legislation is a tedious exercise and has to be keenly examined and has to go through a number of processes which take time.
When we do legislation and take legislation to Parliament, there are a number of steps. So apart from the ministry agreeing, it would then have to go to cabinet, it would have to go to a discussion on our parliamentary agenda, it would have to find a place there, then we'll have to work on getting it tabled and things like that. So there's still a little bit more time and work that ought to be done, right? And we also have to look at what has been submitted to see whether it's capturing what we think we need to do in terms of horse racing. Because, you know, there have been issues. It's not just about regulating a competition, but there's also issues dealing with categories of horses and how you categorize them and a whole set of things. So it would entail a bit of work.
The lack of adequate legislation remains the main reason for the sport still not being properly administered. Dubbed the Sport of Kings, horse racing, since its resuscitation some 5 years ago, has been operating under a legal document that was registered under the Miscellaneous Deeds Act.
The Kashif and Shanghai Kings have retained their status as a top basketball club in Linden by winning the 2013 edition of the Trophy Stall Regulation Open Basketball Championship on Sunday at the Mackenzie Sports Club hardcourt. The Kings defeated the Amelia's Ward Jets 66-60 to claim victory despite being rebounded in the game. Steve Niels Jr. was the high point man with 21 points, while O'Malley Sampson was named the most valuable player with his 13 points and 11 rebounds for the Kings. The Lusignan Golf Club, LGC, is hoping to attract 60 to 75 golfers from Guyana, North America, and the Caribbean for its premier golf tournament, the Guyana Open, billed for November 2 to 3 at the country's lone golf course at Lusignan, East Coast, Demerara. Unlike previous years, when it was exclusively sponsored by Bankstage Limited, the upcoming 2-day tournament will now be sponsored by cell phone service provider Digicel for the first time. Avinash Ramzan has the details.
In giving an update to this newscast regarding plans for a highly anticipated event, President of the Lusignan Golf Club, Attorney-at-Law Jerome Khan, said preparations are moving apace with some overseas competitors already here getting acclimatized. Khan revealed that golfers from the United States of America are already in the country, while several others from Canada are expected here in the coming days. Golfers from Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname and French Guiana are also slated to compete at the 2-day event. The Lusignan Golf Club had said that the organizers are looking for a large turnout of golfers to compete on the 9-hole course, with rivalry in the championship flight, that's the 0 to 9 handicap, the B flight 10 to 18 handicap, C flight 19 to 28 handicap, and the ladies flight. Khan said that from all indications, the championship flight will be a hotly contested affair, with defending champion Avinash Prasad throwing down the gauntlet to local rivals Mohanlal Dinanath, Alfred Mentor, William Walker, Patrick Prashad, Imran Khan and Munaf Arjun, the Canada trio of Roger Rajkumar, Jaipal Sukhnandan and Supal Sukhnandan, and Anwar Shafi of New York. Khan also used the opportunity to salute Digicel as new sponsor of the Guyana Open, a partnership that gained roots a few years ago when the company first sponsored the Digicel Golf Classic. Khan added that the Lusignan Golf Club is using the tournament to once again aid in the sports tourism drive, as the event will draw a wide cross-section of golfers and their supporters from various countries.
Thanks, Avinash. Do stay tuned. Your bird reports are next. This is the evening news. Welcome back, and now for a look at your bird reports. The Demerara Harbor Bridge will be closed on Thursday, October 24 at 8 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. The Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Thursday, October 24 at 7 hours 25 for a period of 1.5 hours. And that's your Wednesday, October 23, 2013 edition of the Evening News. I am Leanna Bradshaw. Thanks for joining us.